and I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so thank you so much to all of you for getting on, or if you're listening to the recording, thank you very much. Thank you to Scotty for having me on the call tonight. I'm very excited to share some of the things that my team, Team Fit and Focus, have implemented over, I would say, over the past year and a half. Slowly, we've implemented these particular systems to our month, and we've had a lot of success with them. And yeah, so I will just get started. I'm going to share a little bit about my story first, and how I set up my month, kind of how it got there, and why I set it up that way, and talk to you a little bit about the ways that I invite as well. So my name is Michelle Harris, and I've been a coach for 3.5 years. I have been a full-time coach for the past year, and I think that this you can see in my is my little family. I have my husband Rob. We've been married for over 9 years, and I have my son Jordan, who is 6. He's going to start first grade on Monday, and my daughter Ashlyn is going to start pre-K after Labor Day. So I think a big turning point for me, a huge turning point for me, was a year and a half into the business. So I started in January of 2013, and I did not go to Summit that year in Vegas. It was in June, about 6 months after I had signed up as a coach. And I remember completely kicking myself, seeing all of the posts and everything going on while everyone was at Summit and I was at home. So I was really disappointed with myself for not getting there that year. But I said to my husband, you know what, we need to sign up and go the following year. So we made that commitment that year, and we ended up going to Summit that following year, which ended up being a year and a half. If you could mute yourself, that would be great. I thought you guys just wanted because Papa Harry was in an accident that he died. Like, he was in an accident that practiced and he's the one that wanted you to know. Okay, there we go. Sorry. So when we made that commitment to go. So my first Summit experience was a year and a half after I had signed up to be a coach. That following June, it was in Vegas again. And I went to Summit with 2 personally sponsored coaches. One of those personally sponsored coaches was my husband. And when I left Summit, I realized the bigger picture. I realized what the company's mission really was. And I came back with a vision for myself and my business and for my team. And that was really huge for me. So when I came back from Summit, I had a million things, as I'm sure many of you, if you just went to Summit for the first time, or even if this is multiple times, this is my 3rd Summit, and I know coming back from Summit, you just have so many things running through your head, what you want to implement, what you need to do, goals you have, things that were going on. But at that first Summit, I was there as an Emerald coach. So I didn't have a big team of my own. But I knew that I wanted to get there, and I realized that I not only had goals for myself and goals to help all of my challengers with their health and fitness journeys, but I realized that I wanted a team of coaches doing this together. I knew that I wanted a team making an even bigger impact in the lives around us. So up until that moment, I have to be completely honest, I was not consistent with the vital behaviors. I did not have specific plans in place to reach certain goals that I had, but I knew that needed to change. And that is when I started to develop kind of this monthly system. So, some of the things that I asked myself when I slowly put this plan into place each month is how could we improve our team culture? Team culture was something really important to me. How could we grow our team? Because obviously, I said before, I wanted a larger team to really make a bigger impact. And how can we help coaches get more comfortable with inviting? Because, for me as a new coach, and even at that point when I went to Summit that year, I was, I still felt like I wasn't necessarily comfortable with the inviting process. So I wanted to figure out how I could come up with a better way for a solution for me to become better at inviting and me to help coaches on our team get better at inviting and get more comfortable with inviting. So you can see some of the things that I came up with that fall into these different categories that I have throughout the month now. So for team culture, we started with team calls and power hours to grow our team. We have a coach open house event and a coach opportunity call. And then for inviting, we have a 7-day free group, a 5-day Shakeology group, and then a monthly challenge group that is 4 weeks long. Okay, so here's a look at a calendar of basically all the different groups and events going on with my team for the month of August. I just used August as an example, and you'll see it's, some of the things are a little bit different. Now, this was not always this way. I started out with those team calls, and I had, and I only did a team call once a month. And the reason behind doing a team call once a month and why we eventually went to power hours as well is because, we have the Bombshell Dynasty and Team Dynasty, and I'm part of the Fit Family Network, and they all have tremendous calls as well. So that's why we did a team call once a month, and then we eventually added those power hours as well because of all the other different calls that were there available for us as well. So I started out with a team call, and then what originally started out was a coach sneak peek that was run in a group. Eventually, it evolved to a coach open house that was actually in our team page, and now we do a 1 hour coach open house event. And I'll talk about that a little bit more. But then we added our 4 week challenge group consistently. We added that free group and that Shakeology group, and eventually the coach opportunity call that was consistently each month, and those power hours. So if you look at this month, you can see that on the first of the month, because it happened to be a Monday, that was when we kicked off our 4 week challenge group, our summer send off challenge group. And this typically starts the first full week of the month. Now we have adjusted our challenge group schedule a little bit, but typically that's when it begins. This month, we had our coach open house event on August 1st. Usually, it is also on the first Tuesday of the month, like our team call. But coming off of Summit, we did a Summit edition for the coach open house. And since we were coming back from Nashville on Sunday, I took advice from the Dynasty Surge, and we did it right on that Monday immediately after Summit. So we didn't wait till that Tuesday, and we did our coach open house event. It's a 1 hour event. So from 7 to 8 p.m., that is when that was held. The first Tuesday of the month, we always have a team call and a power half hour. So the team call that we have, which is once a month, like I mentioned, it basically has recognition announcements, and we always have a guest speaker. And our guest speaker might be someone on Team Fit and Focused or a guest speaker outside of our team. And then we have a power half hour. And these have been really awesome to do. These are basically, if you've been on a power hour before, how we do it is it's basically just either half hour or an hour of a working meeting. Either leaders on our team share things that have helped their business and what's working for them, or we have a schedule of events, which I'm going to show you an example of in a minute, of things to do at each point in the hour. It gives an assignment and how many minutes to be working on that assignment to really get all of those business activities done in that hour or half hour. So that is always on the first Tuesday of the month. This month I had Super Saturday in there as a reminder for the coaches on our team. That was on the 6th. The second full week of the month, we always have a 7-day free group and a 5-day Shakeology group. And that free group might be a clean eating group. We've done most recently an abs and core group. We've done butts and guts. We've utilized Beachbody on Demand, just things like that. But it's always free for 1 week. The 5-day Shakeology group is a way to have people either purchase the super sampler off the Beachbody website, or they can get samples from their coach. I usually try to send out samples myself, just to make it a little more personal, me sending it to them. But that is always the second Tuesday of the month as well. And that group is meant to, it shares a ton of different recipes from a ton of different recipes to make the different flavors of Shakeology. It shows a ton of different ingredients and the benefits. And each day there's a check-in with how you made your shake and what you thought. And then there was either a video or a podcast or an article or blog post, a piece of information just for people to understand the value of Shakeology and the benefits of Shakeology. Also this month, so this month was a little bit different. Like I mentioned, we had a country heat test group. Every time that there is a new program that comes out, we as a team will host a test group for that new program. All the other 4-week programs or 4-week challenge groups are usually with mixed programs, but these test groups are specific to the new program. So this month we did one for Country Heat. We did one in March for 22-minute hardcore. When Hammer and Chisel came out, we did Hammer and Chisel. So we always have that extra challenge group for the new release. All right, so then the third Tuesday of the month, we always have a regular full power hour. And again, this is when leaders on our team share and kind of teach something that they're using for their business that has helped them, or we have the different business activities in the allotted amount of time. This week for our power hour, we did one of the coaches talked about my challenge tracker and how they're using that because we are trying to use my challenge tracker more often, and especially with the health bet coming up in September. So just trying to get coaches used to that. We also went over Snapchat. We had a coach share about Snapchat on the call. We talked about making connections with people and also inviting to our coach opportunity call, which you can see is what is also tonight. So the third Thursday of every month, we have our coach opportunity call at 9 p.m. Eastern. And then you can see in the notes at the bottom that we have our challenge group set for September. So when I have a cover photo in Team Fit and Focus with all of these dates as a reminder. And then we have the next month's challenge group as well planned out so they know what they can be inviting to, because our challenge group starts at the beginning of the month. This is all planned and in place before the end of the month. So I'm in the process of planning out September, and September's dates will be posted in my team page before the end of August. Okay, I just wanted to pop this in here because I talked about the live power hour, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about why I set up the month this way. And this has been really awesome for the coaches to get on and kind of share what's working and get to work, right there with each other on the call. So this is an example of a live power hour where we have just kind of given certain business activities and given them basically a certain amount of time that they should be spending on those activities, and just spent the hour there together. And that way we're all there. If they have questions or anything, we're there to answer questions and go over anything that they need to go over. Okay, so here are just some of the benefits of why um, I have set up the month this way and how it's kind of evolved into this. The first being consistency. So, with this business, we hear the word consistency all the time. It's something that is very important. And with the month set up like this, with it being consistent each month, everyone knows what to expect. Everyone knows what's available to invite to. It's right there for them every single month. It also helps with organization. With organization, I mean, for me, planning ahead is so important and being able to visualize and write those dates down in my planner. I still, I have things on the computer, but I'm still old school. I love my Erin Condon planner and I write everything down in there. So when I have it all written out in my calendar, I am ready for the month. I know exactly how to plan out my month, when I'm inviting to certain things, and not other things. When I can focus on inviting to challenge groups, when I can focus on recruiting coaches, that kind of thing. And I was a teacher for 10 years. So I was constantly planning ahead. That was part of my job. So I feel like it's just in me, it's just the nature of being a teacher. Um, Duplication is another thing. So right now, I have a 3-star diamond team. We actually have 4 lifetime diamonds on our team, and we're not a huge team, so we're able to do a lot together. But um, as our team grows and we do branch off, this these are systems that can be used with coaches on my team as they branch off and are working with their own teams. So setting up the months like this can just help with duplications. And also, well, and I'll get down to it at the bottom, but one of my other benefits, but just helping with the leaders as they are growing their own teams as well. Team culture is a huge thing. This is something that I just really had a vision for, really wanting to have a team that worked together, helped each other, shared struggles, shared successes, recognized those successes, just really was there for each other and being able to do these challenge groups together and do these coach opportunity calls and events and everything together, it has been great. This is not all me. This is definitely such a team effort with Team Fit and Focus. And when we're in these challenge groups together, it's been really great to just share and be on one another's journeys as well, and just being able to collaborate with all the different coaches on our team has been great. With this, we also are able to share a lot of responsibilities as well when we are posting in these challenge groups and coming up with challenge group ideas, and um, especially some of the groups that we have consistently, like our Shakeology group, we have that system in place. We have that content already created. So the coaches on our team with the Shakeology group and the free group can help with setting up those groups and setting up those posts and things like that. Leadership is another really big thing, like I mentioned before. This, as my coaches on my team and have built their own teams and are growing and adding coaches to their team, they have been able to be put into these leadership positions where, you know, sometimes you need a little push to get out of your comfort zone. And so these coaches on my team that have stepped up into these leadership roles have done such a tremendous job planning these groups and organizing these groups and taking on coach opportunity calls, which I'm not doing tonight. One of my person sponsored coaches is doing it for the first time, which is wonderful. It's and setting up and running our coach open house. Seeing these coaches take on this leadership role and become these leaders on our team, that has been such a rewarding experience as well. Invite. So one of our 4 vital behaviors, obviously this is a very important vital behavior. And, often I have a lot of coaches that tell me that they struggle with this the most out of all the vital behaviors. And basically with the way we set up the month, there are different challenge groups to invite to each month, and 2 different opportunities to invite people to share the coaching opportunity. So these are all, kind of when you look at that calendar, they're kind of all strategically placed throughout the month. So there's always something to invite to. New coaches, which goes along with inviting. I know new coaches have a hard time. I know as a new coach, I had a hard time with inviting. We get that we're nervous about that money objection. We all get that money objection. So by having that free group to invite to where there is no cost at all for them, or we have the Shakeology group where it's a minimal cost to them rather than, spending the whole $130 or 140, 160, whatever for the challenge pack to be able to try Shakeology at a, not as large of an investment to try it out, just makes it a little easier to invite. And for newer coaches, helping them get comfortable with that inviting process is important. And then education. And that's really big for me too, because again, I was a teacher for 10 years and I still consider myself very much a teacher as a coach. I think that's why my transition from a teacher to a full-time coach has been so great. I get a lot of people that ask me, do you miss teaching? And I miss my students and everything, but I love educating people about what we have to offer as coaches and what Beachbody has to offer. So any chance that I get, if I can help people understand what our role is as a coach and that we're here to help them and provide a solution for them and not to just sell them something and set them off on their own, that we're really here to help them, support them, encourage, motivate. As much as I can educate people and give them the opportunity to experience one of our groups for free or learn more about Shakeology before they actually try it out for an entire month, I love that opportunity. So education is a big part of why I like the way that we set up our month as well. So I know that I went over a ton of different things that I invite to. And I think one of the things that I kind of struggled with is how to invite to all of those different things. Obviously personal messages you can see up there, I use a lot, but I think for a lot of coaches, I see a lot of coaches on my team and new coaches and other coaches on other teams, putting so much stuff out on Facebook. And I think that kind of just um, can just get mixed up. You can't rely on who's seeing those posts on your timelines. And I try to come up with creative ways for people to understand why I'm inviting them to a certain event or call or group. So here are some of the ways that I have come up with to invite. The first one is to open a private event. And for example, this month, I actually opened a private event for my fallback into health and fitness group. So this is the group that is starting on September 5th and will be run until October 2nd. And I did an event, and again, I chose private because, I've done some public events. The difference between the two with a private event, and this is set up through the private event is through my personal page. So the private event, when I post things in it, only people in my event see it. When you do a public event, when you post something in the event, it's going to pop up on people's news feeds. So there are benefits to you opening a public event and being able to invite that way and other people seeing it. But for a private event, for my challenge groups that I do, I like to kind of alternate. Sometimes I do private, sometimes I do public. because I don't want it to be, like blasted on people's pages all the time. So I opened a private event for this fall back into health and fitness, and I ran it a little bit differently. Again, I was trying to really help people understand what we have to offer. So this helped educate people about what exactly a challenge group is, what exactly a challenge pack is, what my role is as a coach. I highlighted all of the promotions this month because that was another thing. I wanted to get out there all of the different promotions this month because of how many there were. And then I also talked about the Beachbody Health Bet and the My Challenge Tracker. Because up until now, right now we have our Country Heat Challenge group is through the My Challenge Tracker. But up until now, I've pretty much been doing all of my challenge groups through Facebook. So um, I, I was able to do a post every single day in the morning about that specific topic, the question I was answering that day. And then later in the afternoon or evening, I went live in that event as well. So if I talked about what a challenge group is, I explained what a challenge group is in a basic post about what it is. And then when I went live, I shared a little bit more about it. And I actually shared about my first experience in a challenge group, what it was all about, why I loved it so much, why I continue to love challenge groups. So I really related it personally to my journey. So that has worked out really well. I've been able to get a lot of information out, and I am able to know exactly who sees the event, and I know that they're getting all of this information. So for the public event, this month I opened a public event through my Facebook like page, and I did that for our free group. So the free group, we called it Core Galore. We did it through actually Beachbody on Demand workouts. We found different workouts. We used T25 ab intervals, some hammer and chisel workouts, Turbo Fire, P90X, and we just made it all about abs and core. So I did do a public event for that. Also, for our coach open houses that are run in an event, we do those in a public event. Those are done in a public event every single month. And then I post on social media, but I've kind of steered away from once in a while, I do direct invites in a social media post, but I've kind of gotten away from that a little bit. Instead, I share more about, the positive gains that I've gotten from a challenge group or the positive gains that I've gotten from coaching, kind of just opening up about challenge groups and Shakeology. I might mention that I have samples to offer people and just hinting about coaching and how it's changed my life and things like that. So kind of, I guess you could, thinking about the book Jab Jab Right Hook, kind of like all the jabs in there. And then personal messages, however, I use a ton in collaboration with those events and those social media posts. So any of those posts that I make on social media, any likes or comments, those people are personally messaged, and building that relationship, starting to make those connections. Depending on the person, if I've been in contact with them, I will invite them right off the bat, depending on what posts that they may have liked or commented on. For the private events and the public events, I message every single person that I invite to those groups just to make sure that they saw my event and they were able to check in. I usually use a link to the event, so it's right in that message so they can just click on it and check out the event right away if they haven't gotten to it yet, and privately message them about it there. I also do private messages for my coach open house and for the coach opportunity calls as well. And then finally, for follow-ups, I know we hear a lot of crickets. I hear crickets sometimes, or people that say, yeah, they'll check it out, and they may not get back to you. So a lot of follow-ups, I like to use the voice memo option with the personal messages in Facebook Messenger. So that just kind of personalizes a little bit more. They can hear me talk. They can hear that I'm genuine. They can hear that I'm excited about helping them. And it's a little bit different than just sending them that message via text. Okay, so I know that I've given you a lot of information about things that I do each month, how I invite, the benefits of doing these different things. But just so you know, this has just been such a work in progress, and it has taken some time to get to this point. So when you're thinking about you and your team and your goals, I think the biggest thing is just to think about what are the first steps that you can take to work towards these goals. And hopefully, when you think about the content that I just shared with you and some of the ideas that I do each month with our team. And remember, this is not something that is all on me. I have leaders on my team that are helping with everything. So it's shared responsibilities. We do things together, and it takes time to create this. So, but think about what your most important goals are for you and your team, and think of those action steps that you need to take right now. So that is all I have for you. Does anyone have any questions for me at all? No? Okay. All right. Well, oh, there's some in the chat maybe. How long do you normally run the new release test groups? Just a week, or do you do the entire program? We do the entire program for the test groups. So even if it's a like Hammer and Jizzle and 22-minute hardcore, they were both 2-month programs. So we did them for the full 2 months. And do you charge for the Shaco samples? Yes. So technically, the 7-day group is a free group. The Shakeology group is technically not free. And yes, I do charge for samples, but I do offer kind of a discount for them. I give them 5 samples for $20, and then that includes like shipping and everything, as opposed to sending them to Team Beachbody to order. They're gonna pay what, $29.95 plus shipping and everything. So I do give them a little bit of a discount there. Anything else? I don't think there's any other questions.
Yeah, I did, but I forgot.
What's that?
So I did have questions, but I forgot what they were already.
Oh, okay.
I'm only like 4 weeks in, so everything's like whenever you hear it.
Oh yeah. Well, it's a lot of information. If you're a new coach, it's definitely a lot of information. But if you have any questions, please feel free to send me a message through Facebook, friend me on Facebook, and I'm happy to answer anything you have.
Excellent. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, all of you, for getting on tonight. I appreciate it. And you all have a wonderful evening.
You too. Thank you for talking.
No problem. Bye,
Night.
guys.